My name is Cindy Ricca. I volunteer at the VA hospital in Canandaigua, New York. And I'm here today interviewing Lenard Berghash. He was in World War II, and this is for the Library of Congress for Veterans History. Go ahead, Mr. Berghash.
My name is Lenard Berghash. I live at 184 LeKine Drive in Rochester, New York. I enlisted in the Army when I was going to Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio in 1944, February. I came back to Rochester and spent a minimal amount of time when I was called into service. I went from Rochester to Fort Dix, New Jersey, where we stayed for just probably a week or so before we found out where we were going to. I was assigned to the Signal Corps, and I went to Camp Crowder, Missouri, where I learned certain things about the Signal Corps, repairing equipment, and so on and so forth. One thing that I learned there that I had never done, I'd never done any of that before. One thing that I learned there that I found a little bit unusual and scary, that climbing poles, climbing way up on a pole, way up in the air, and I thought, my God, you're way up in the air there, you're a great one for a sniper. I mean, one of the Japanese are going to get you, or the Germans are going to get you. But fortunately, I never had that opportunity to get up on a pole. From there, we went to Camp Miles Standish in Massachusetts and sailed in a convoy of ships because we're the German submarines to Europe. We sailed on the Atlantic, and we stopped at Weymouth, England, in the day because we were going to run the channel at night. Nighttime came, we began to run the channel, and my bunk was way below decks, and all of a sudden we started hearing depth charges. And believe me, that was one of the scariest nights of my life, because if a submarine did attack, I would have been swimming with the fishes. We landed in Rouen, France. And one incident I do remember about being in France, when we landed there, it was bitter cold. And we were issued suntans, some were issued uniforms. And we were not allowed to have a fire because the Germans would fly over and they see the fire and they'd drop a bomb on us. So it was that cold, but we ended up, what some of us did, I was one of them, we cut holes in the bottom of our sleeping bags and stuck our feet through them, zipped it up, and walked around like that. Another thing that happened when we landed there was the first meal we got. It was delicious. It was horse meat. Really didn't appreciate that. Well, we stayed in France and repairing signal equipment. We were very fortunate in the fact there were two of us, the 68 signal and the 58 signal. From word that we were told, this is just hearsay from people, that the 58th went into the Battle of the Bulge. We were fortunate that we didn't. When word was handed down that the war in Europe was going to be about over and they were going to go into Japan, we went sent down to Marseille, France. And from Marseille, we boarded a ship, and like Noah, we went from Marseille to Manila, 40 days and 40 nights. And we got in Manila, and we stayed there for a while, waiting to embark to land on the Japanese soil. Well, fortunately for us, but not for the Japanese, a atomic bomb was dropped, and the armistice was signed. So we sailed into Japan, and we landed there. And I have to say one thing: we weren't the first ones into Japan, but we're one of the first people to land into Japan. At that particular point, I was sent to the city of Osaka, to maintain communications, and I was in charge of the one particular communication in Japan, the telephone equipment, monitoring and seeing that it was in operation. That was at that time a little bit tiny different. It was wireless, and we were stationed in the Sumitomo Bank Building, which was the highest bank building in Japan. And on top of the Sumitomo Bank Building was a little buildings, like an office where all this equipment was going to be installed and so forth. And we were in operation there. My service in Japan was quite interesting in that I worked with the wire chief who's in charge of all the communications in the city of Japan. And we had a very good relationship. I found that the Japanese were very friendly toward us. There was no animosity that I ever saw between the Japanese and ourselves. And I worked with some Niseis who were Japanese Americans who were interpreting for us. And being there with the wire chief and the interpreters, I learned an awful lot of Japanese. And I could speak rudimentary Japanese at that time. But one interesting fact was that his name was Sugimoto, who was a wire chief. And actually, we got a good relationship. And what we did one night, we weren't supposed to do it, but we did. There was another fellow and myself. I had a Jeep. And we weren't supposed to have Japanese in the Jeep, but we put them in the back of the Jeep, and we put a blanket over them, which we took off, the three of us. And it was very nice. He took us to see the traditional Japanese tea ceremony, which we found very, very interesting. And from there, we went to see geisha girls. Now, they are not prostitutes. They were there to entertain us. And they were entertaining us. We had a very, 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 very interesting evening that time. And they also took us out for a meal, Japanese meal, which we enjoyed very much. And it was interesting in Japan, something that I will never, ever in my life forget. Osaka was divided into many sections. There was one called Doitsune, there was one Umeda, and I've forgotten what the others were. And they were the rail hubs in Osaka at that time. And we got into, we did take some of the rail there, and we got into Umeda. And I'll never forget what I saw. The people were bombed and they had no place to live and no homes. They had no food, they had nothing, and there they were. A whole bunch of people lying there dying and begging us for food. And it was just something I will never forget. Little children lying dead and people lying dead from starvation and so forth. That was terrible. That was awful. It really was. But I spent my time in Japan and got enough time in the Army, and I was discharged. I was sent to Seattle, and from Seattle I went to Camp Atterbury, Indiana, I believe it was, and where I was discharged and sent back home to Rochester. Other than that, I really can't think of an awful lot else.
Well, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Please do.
Okay, when you first went into the service, what was your parents' reaction to you going in?
My mother had a sign because I was too young. My father passed away many years ago, so there was nothing there. I had a stepfather who was in the Navy, so there really wasn't a lot of animosity or problem there, so to speak.
And when you went into, where did you do your basic training?
Where I do my basic training? In Camp Crowder, Missouri.
Missouri? Did you have any trouble acclimating to that kind of lifestyle?
No.
No?
No.
Well, that's good.
No, I had no trouble whatsoever.
Had you ever been away from home that far before?
No, not really. But I've been on my own sometimes, you know.
Uh-huh.
I had to grow up awfully fast because my father passing away and so forth.
When he was 8 years old, his father
And
died.
I'm the only son.
Oh.
I'm the only boy. And I had to do things that, you know, a lot of times other kids wouldn't have to do.
Right.
So I acclimated pretty well. No problem.
And when you learned signatory, excuse me, did that include like semaphore and no?
No, we didn't. What we were doing was wire, a string of wire, and telephony conversation between other units and so forth.
Okay.
No, we didn't do semaphore.
Did you do Morse code?
No,
No. So you didn't, after you got out of the service, did you stay into that kind of, you know, interest in radio work at all? No?
no, I had none whatsoever. I was just sent there, and what we did is we repaired phones. We learned how to splice wire. We learned how to string wire. We learned how to communicate. We had switchboards there. I was never on the switchboard. I never did that. Some other people were working on the switchboard. I never did that. I did most of my work on telephony.
Now did you, after you got out of the service, did anything that you learned from that help you with your job that you had, your career?
No, no, not at all.
Did anything that you learned in the service help you with your career, organizational skills or anything like that?
No, I really can't pinpoint anything that I might have learned. I've always been pretty much self-sufficient, and I pretty much handled. I said I went back to college, and I really knew nothing that I was going to major in had anything to do with what I had learned in the Army.
Okay. Now, when you went to Japan, you said you were on the ship for 40 days and 40 nights. Was there any storms? Did you get seasick? How was the accommodations on the
Well, the only
ship?
thing it was 40 days and 40 nights. I do remember going to the Panama Canal, which was very, very interesting.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, it's kind of hard to say. You know, we went through the canal, and then they let us come up on deck and see everything as we went through the canal, which was very, very interesting. And one person we were told jumped ship in Panama, and I don't know if they ever found him or not. But one thing was very sad as we were going from Panama to the Philippines. One of the persons on board died, and they called us all up on deck. We got on deck and we saw this person was put in a sleeping bag and on a board where the sleeping bag was weighted, and they said prayers and they blew the bugle and so forth, taps, and he was put overboard. Yeah, I do remember that. But other than that, there was below decks, and it sounds funny, but we were down below decks in our bunks, and there was one guy with a violin, and for 40 days he played that violin and same song day after day after day.
Do you like to listen to violin music now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not the same thing.
Not the same thing, huh?
No,
So when you got to the Philippines, what were you doing there?
nothing really.
Nothing?
Because I mean, we weren't doing anything relative to communication because we were set up to take off from the Philippines to Japan.
Okay.
One interesting thing that we had in the Philippines, I'll tell you, we were there. I think it's kind of funny. I was in there taking a shower, and there was a whole bunch of guys in there taking a shower. And normally you take a shower, your clothes are off. And in the to this area where you're taking a shower. This Filipino woman comes in carrying bananas, and she comes up to me. She says, "Hey, Joe, you want to buy a banana?"
In the shower?
Well, it was like an open air shower.
Yeah, an open air shower.
Yeah.
You know. And you know, and for what I mean, you know, how am I going to pay for a banana? I haven't got any clothes on.
That's funny. That's funny. So when you did get to Japan, you went to Osaka?
Osaka.
Because when they dropped the bomb on Japan, what was your feelings before they dropped the bomb? Did you have any idea that this was going to happen?
No, we had no idea what was going to happen. As I say, it's too bad for Japan, but good for us, because had I had to go into the invasion, I might not be sitting here and talking to you today.
Right.
I will say one other thing about Japan, and I just slipped my mind, comes to me. Having a Jeep gave me a little bit of freedom, and I took the Jeep into Kyoto. Now, Kyoto was never bombed. Now, that was the the religious center of Japan. All these temples and so on and so forth were there, and that was quite a thing to see. It was very interesting. And one other place that I went to was called Nara, and at Nara there was this gigantic bell over a large cliff, a big valley, you know, and big bell. And to ring the bell, there was a big log on a rope. You went back with the log and let it go hit the bell. Well, that was kind of fun.
I think I've seen that on TV.
Yeah.
And I did do some shopping there. Cigarettes were a great commodity there. Cigarettes and tuna fish.
Tuna fish.
So your mother, tell her how your mother used to
Yeah,
sing.
my mother used to send me tuna fish and cigarettes. Yeah, and I have something here I'll show you.
Okay.
I brought back from Japan. I sent a lot of stuff back from Japan to my mother and to some other of my relatives here in Rochester. Yeah. But the trading commodity was cigarettes. I have this statue of they told me it was the god of harvest. I don't remember if it was a cigarette or a carton of cigarettes. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Why don't you tell her the reason you joined the service?
What?
He graduated high school at 16, and he went to Ohio State, his first year of college, and he was kind of lost there, 16-year-old going on 17 with all the rest of the older kids. And after the first year, he said, "This isn't for me," and that's why he joined the service. It's part of your history.
Oh, okay.
So then when you actually saw what the bomb did to Japan, what was your thoughts on it then? I mean, I can understand that it saved hundreds and hundreds of lives, thousands, but
we did not know at that particular point in time what the results of dropping that bomb was. I mean, when I was, and that it's a terrible. I mean, I hate to see all these people being killed.
right,
But putting it very, very succinctly, better them than me.
right. It stopped the war. Yeah.
But when I was in Japan, I tried to get to Hiroshima, but it was off limits.
Right,
No,
right.
couldn't
I
get
would
there.
imagine. Did you have interaction with the regular Japanese people?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I was very friendly with the Japanese people. I worked with the warrior chief in Osaka, and one day I don't know, just for no reason whatsoever, I got in the Jeep just driving around, and I came to these ruins, houses bombed out and so on. I came to this one building, and I was kind of walking around, and it was a school, and there was all little children in it. And I walked into school, all these little kids were in there, and they greeted me and smiled and happy. And I say I knew some rudimentary Japanese at the time, so I was talking Japanese, what I knew, and they were going back and forth. We were laughing, we had a great time, really. And other than that, and I say our relationship was in communication. I did have a good relationship with the Japanese, and it was a very amicable relationship. We had no problems whatsoever. None.
You know, you're not the first person to say that when they went in to occupy Japan, that the people, they had no feeling of animosity towards the Americans.
There was no animosity. I mean, there may have been hidden animosity, but outwardly there was no animosity shown towards me. I mean, I certainly wasn't going in there as a hail the conqueror.
Right.
I mean, I'm not that kind of a person. But I just treated them as an equal. I mean, they are people, they're human beings. And no.
Good. Now, when you were going across the English Channel, you said you were depth charged. Now, when you get to England and then you have to go from England to France, is that
Yes,
how you
yes.
cross the Channel, right?
Yeah, across the channel at night.
What, then U-boats were depth charging you?
No, the boat was, evidently there must have been submarines in the channel.
Okay.
And what they were doing was dropping the depth charges to blow the submarines up.
Okay, I see.
To blow up the ships they were crossing. They were in submarines dropped, I thought you said.
No, there were submarines evidently, and they were dropping the depth charges to eliminate, to blow up the submarines.
Right.
And we figured whether they blew them up or whether they disabled them or not, I have no idea. All I know is that they wouldn't be dropping depth charges if there weren't submarines in the area.
And it was your ship that was doing the dropping.
It was our ship
Okay.
that was doing the dropping.
I understand now.
Yes.
I understand now. So you don't know if you hit anybody.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know whether anything was hit. All I do know is they would not be dropping depth charges if there weren't submarines in the area.
Right.
And if they didn't get the submarine and they hit our ship, a torpedo hit our ship, we all would have been gone. 'Cause
Right.
we're all way below decks.
Yeah. That's scary. That's
Yeah, oh,
scary.
you better believe it was scary.
So when you get across, and now you're on the beach of Normandy,
We went wrong.
and
Rouen.
and then you're going through France, and you thought probably that you were going to go to the Battle of the Bulge or in that area.
In that area, we didn't know. We didn't know. I mean, I'm just told what comes down from headquarters.
Now, do you know why they picked the other group and not your
I
group
have
to
no
go?
idea. No idea.
Sure luck.
Luck. Yeah,
Luck.
really.
Look.
Really. That's very good. That's very good. So, getting up to today's world, what do you think about women being in the military?
Fine.
Do you think they should be on the front line?
I think that has to be their decision if it's available to them, and they want to be on. That's their decision, and they should go for it. I don't think it should be forced. I don't think anybody should be forced. But if they are so inclined, then so be it.
Do you think that the government, the military, is doing enough for the people that have PTSD?
For the people that have it, well,
PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome?
no, I don't think they're doing enough.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. What I see and what I hear, that's all I can tell you. I don't think.
Yeah.
I feel so sorry for these people. I really do. I think some of them have just been abandoned. From reading and seeing and so forth, they have been abandoned, and I think that's very sad. It's very sad.
It is. It is. When you got out of the service, did they tell you all the benefits that you were allowed?
No.
No?
No.
Have you ever gone to a counselor and found out what your benefits are?
The last time I went over to this building, one of my benefits says, well, yeah, your benefit right now is a plaque on your grave. That's your benefit.
Are you kidding me?
I'm serious.
Well, they sent us, we went to that building on Westfall Road,
Uh-huh.
and they said that they don't handle that he had to go to the VA over here.
Uh-huh.
Well, to go to the VA over here is a nightmare.
And I'll tell you, I did a lot of work in the VA hospitals. Let me put it this way. The government approved a certain system of heating and cooling the patient room in a VA hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And the system that I was working with, the company I was working with, is manufacturer's representative, approved that. And I had an opportunity to work with the Canandaigua Hospital with design and installation of this particular system in the patient room. And I could see how some of these patients were treated in this hospital. At that time, I don't know what it is now, but at that time it was,
How long ago was that?
it was poor. It was very
How
poor.
long ago was that? 20 years ago? No, more than 20, 30?
Oh, golly. 35 years ago or so.
Okay.
In that area. And then did the Veterans Hospital in Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. It's a multi-story building. And I got a chance to walk all around that building and see and how these, I'm sorry to say it, but some of these doctors were so inefficient, and I'm no doctor, I'm not a physician, but how these patients are sitting there, you know, like Gomers, you know?
Yeah.
And I just felt that they just weren't getting the proper care. And I can't see where at that time, where a doctor would graduate from medical school, then go into the VA hospital. It was terrible, really, how these patients were.
You should take a trip down to the Canandaigua VA now. They have, well, a few years ago they said that they were going to close it, and everybody got up in arms and saved the
remember
hospital.
Yes, I saw it.
They've revamped it. It is a really nice facility.
Because he would come home from Syracuse and Canandaigua and say to me, Sheila, don't ever send me to
Yeah,
the VA
you
hospital.
should
It's a
just-
warehouse.
A warehouse, that's very good. Good way of putting it.
It was,
Oh,
he
it's a
said
warehouse.
it's a warehouse of,
It's a warehouse.
well, that was your words in those days. It's a
I-
warehouse of people who served this country, and now they've stuffed them in a warehouse.
I also did Bass, too. Some work down in Bass, the Veterans Hospital in Bass.
I haven't been into any other hospital, VA hospital, except Canandaigua, and I know now it is really a nice facility.
They had this doesn't apply to the patients, but they had an engineering office down there, and they assigned one engineer to work with me. He was so ashamed that he didn't know what to do. I had to work with him in the boiler room so that his boss wouldn't see him. Okay.
That's too bad. That's too bad.
Yeah, that always brought to my mind how they. That's why I didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I just felt like I wasn't going to fall into that trap of inefficiency.
Right. Well, it's changed.
Well, that's
at least the one in Canandaigua. I hear all sorts of stories because it's all in the news now. But the one in Canandaigua is very, very nice.
Good. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah. Let me think. What else do I want to know? When you got out of the service and you went back to college, what did you take?
An engineering course.
Engineering? And then you went into engineering some
Yeah.
field?
HVAC, heating, ventilating, air conditioning. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about installing furniture and not like that. No, not that type. No.
He designed systems, like you said, for hospitals.
Okay. Okay.
The work I did was primarily in hospitals, libraries, schools, a lot of schools, and so forth. Yeah.
Now, did you keep in touch with any of your buddies that was in the service with you?
No.
No?
No.
Have you ever gone to a reunion or anything like that?
No, I never knew that. There never was a reunion to my knowledge.
Really?
No. No.
Have you ever thought about going on honor flight?
I've thought about it, but I've always felt this way. I didn't do a hell of a lot. I mean, a lot of these people did a lot more than I did, believe me. And I think about it maybe now, but my physical condition precludes my going at this
No.
particular time.
It doesn't
I have
really.
a lot of medical problems that may possibly prevent me from going.
Well, let me tell you. You can go online. You got a computer.
Yeah.
Go online and go and look up Rochester Honor Flight. There's an application there. Fill it out. They'll call you. And they'll tell you whether you can go or not, whether you're medically fit to go.
I'll do it.
They have nurses and doctors right there. They have a wheelchair for every single person, every vet that goes. You have a guardian that goes with you. There's nothing you want, and there's nothing they can't take care of. And they've seen it all, and they want you to go. If you put your application in now, most likely because you're a World War II person, you'll be going this spring. If not this spring, early fall. They have 3 in the springtime until I think Father's Day is the last one they have in the spring, and then they start up again in September, and they have 3 in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, you will kick yourself if you don't go and do this. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful trip. And if you've got a son or a daughter, that's usually who they have for guardians. This trip will mean absolutely everything to them. It'll be a life changer for your kid.
Can I take my wife?
No.
No?
And I'll tell you why you can't do that is because they found out that when veterans goes with their spouses, whether it's the wife going with the husband or the husband going with the wife, that they stick together and they don't talk to the other vets. And this is something that you will not believe what happens. They take you down and you go to the World War II monument.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it's just like taking 50 years off those guys' life. They scatter, and the guardians are running around trying to keep them together, and it's just amazing. It's just an amazing
Where else
thing.
do they take you?
You fly into Baltimore. They have a greeting in Baltimore. They put you on buses. Again, there's nurses and doctors right there. There's wheelchairs. They have wheelchairs for every single veteran. There's a wheelchair for. If you don't feel like walking, you take a wheelchair. Even if you're capable of walking,
You can't walk.
you can take a wheelchair. It's unbelievable. They take you down and you go to the World War II monument. You go to the Vietnam Wall. You go to the Washington Monument. You go to the Korean Memorial. You go to the Navy, Air Force, Army, and Marine. Each one has a monument there. You see those. And then when you're done with that, you go back to the hotel that you're staying at. You have a big dinner, like a banquet dinner. And then you just horse around until you get tired and want to go to bed. Get up in the morning and you have a banquet breakfast, and then you get on the plane and come back to Rochester. And I'll tell you from first-hand experience, this is something that you don't want to miss. It's just the most amazing thing that you ever want to do.
See, he needs help with some getting dressed in the morning
No problem.
and getting undressed at night.
No problem. No problem at all. There's absolutely nothing unless you're on death's door. I mean, they will help you every step of the way. They help you. You should really, really. It doesn't cost a thing
I'm
for
not
the
concerned
veteran.
about the cost.
It does cost for the guardian. It costs $350 for the guardian. But it doesn't cost a thing for the veteran.
And if you have nobody that'll go with you, they'll assign
They'll
somebody.
assign somebody to go with you if you have nobody.
What we got?
My son went with my father-in-law, and they come back, and they would just, it was beyond their words. They couldn't talk to me. Even to this day, my father-in-law just passed away, but my son, he can't even describe it. He cannot describe. He says, Mom, you had to be there. And I haven't been there. All I know is I've been at the coming home. You know, I'm there when they come home, and I see them. But it is a phenomenal trip, and you really, really...
Yeah. Well, I'll take a chance. I do have medical problems that may pop up. It just shows that maybe I thought about a couple of years ago when I didn't have these problems.
Well, honest to God, I mean, put all down your thing, and they'll call
You
you.
have that email?
No, I don't. It's just Honor Flight Rochester,
Give me a piece of paper.
and it just comes up, and it'll say Veterans application, and it'll say Guardians application, and you just either fill it out online and send it, or print it off and send it.
I mean, I don't know who I would use for a guardian, to be honest
Maybe
with
Stephen would go with
you.
you.
My son Stephen,
Yeah.
We could,
he's a doctor,
we could ask.
Oh,
veterinarian.
We could ask him.
I mean, it is well worth your time to
And
go.
if not, then they'll assign you somebody.
Flight,
I think you should go.
I'd ask him, flight.
Honor flight.
Honor Flight, Rochester. What's this right here, that one?
Comes up on the screen.
It just comes right up
Oh,
on
I
the
see,
screen.
Honor Flight, right, okay. All right, I'll take a swing at it.
I hope so.
Thank you.
I hope so. I have sent so many people to Honor Flight. I love
Well, I've been telling him, when my brother lives in Boynton Beach, Florida, he had the opportunity, he signed up for it, and he went, and he said it was the most astounding, moving experience
It is.
he's ever had.
It
And he
is.
didn't see as much of overseas service as Leonard did. I mean,
And as far as you not deserving it, you do deserve it.
I'll try one of these, they're very good.
he's always had that attitude that he didn't do much. He
Yeah.
was offered to be sent to officers training, and at that time when he just come and joined the service, he said, nah, I don't want to do that. And I just
Well,
want to
you-
serve my time and get out.
Yeah. Well, he's young. He's
He
young.
was, 17 years old.
Well, do you have anything else you want to share with me? Any funny things that you did? That you
Oh, I
can
got
talk
one.
about?
Well, funny things I won't share.
He was a young bad boy.
I'm just a kid.
Yeah. Were you scared? Were you scared?
Am I scared? No.
No.
Well, you were
I was
scared.
scared when I was in that boat there.
And they were
below
dropping the
deck.
depth
Yeah.
charge.
Believe me, I was scared.
Yeah.
When we landed at Rouen, I was a little bit scared. I don't know what was ahead of us.
I'm sure
When-
it's pretty scary when they say to you, you can't have a fire because the Germans are all around.
Can't have a fire because the German planes. One night, we were in France, in the Kents, and someone, I forgot who it was, on guard duty, we had a post guard duty. We heard gunshots, bang, 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 and everybody was up. Didn't know what it was, found out the next morning. It's just one guy was on guard duty, shot a cow.
Oh, no. Well, better safe than sorry, right?
Funny.
Yeah, funny was you went to France in the middle of winter in summer issues.
I did.
And then by
I
the
did tell
time
her.
they were sending you to the Philippines, that's when they gave you winter clothes. So you had to go to the Philippines in winter issue,
Well, they changed it right away there, but
but you still went there in winter issue.
yeah, it's no problem. And no, really,
The Salvation Army was wonderful to the soldiers.
Really?
Yeah, better than the
yeah,
Red
in
Cross.
Philippines. They were. We're in the jungle, and all of a sudden you hear this vehicle coming through with the Red Cross. Cold lemonade. Oh, great. Cold lemonade. 10 cents a glass, fellas.
Are you kidding?
So I don't give anything to them anymore.
Unbelievable.
But then the Salvation Army came, gave her
Salvation Army, yeah.
stuff to them.
In Japan, the Salvation Army, I don't know how they got there, but they were there before us, and everyone got on the shore, and they had donuts and coffee for us. They had also set up in Osaka, this little, I don't know what to call it, little,
Kiosk or something?
huh?
A kiosk?
No, a little restaurant, like, all they served was coffee and donuts and cookies and stuff like that. They had that there for us if we wanted to stop. And I used to go there for coffee and so forth. But, no, I have no,
He always said the Salvation Army was
what?
wonderful.
I can't hear you.
I said you always said the Salvation Army was wonderful to you.
Well, that's good. That's good. So do you have anything else you want to share?
This thing popping in my head.
You're not supposed to be eating cookies on camera.
I'm not on camera, am I? Oh my. That's awful. No, I didn't think I was.
Is that it, my dear?
I'm just thinking about Japan. Is any humorous yeah, I did some bad things. I can just tell you one that really wasn't funny. On top of the Sumitomo Bank building was a siren. I wanted to turn it, siren for air raids. I got up there one day and start in the siren, howling on the top of my lungs. Hayako, Hayako, Bininjuku, Hayako, Hades. That means hurry, hurry, B-29. All the people down there running around. That was bad. That was a very bad thing to do.
There was no B-29.
Well,
No.
it was very bad.
So.
And we adopted a little boy there. He came up to the area where we were on the top of the Sumitomo Bank building, and he looked. He was just kind of moping around. He was hungry, so we fed him, and he kind of adopted us, and we adopted him. Just a little kid, and he kind of hung around. It was nice to have that little kid around there. We felt good feeding him. We taught him English. I hate to tell you what kind of English we taught him.
Don't tell him what
I won't tell him, but he taught him English.
That's good. That's good.
I say I can't repeat there's no animosity between the Japanese there at all.
That's good. So, well, if you have nothing else,
No, I really can't think of anything that I can.
okay, then I want to thank you for your service.
Well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome.